Alright guys, what's up? Welcome back for another one. We're going to be putting the exhaust side of the SLT 750 back together. I wanted to tell you guys what I did with these parts. If you let them soak too long, I use Purple Power, you'll take the paint off. So I let them soak for maybe 15 minutes or so. Take a paintbrush and my parts wash, you know, just a paintbrush with the solution on it, wipe it down. Little ultrasonic cleaner action too. I mean, I got some compliments online about how clean this motor looks, you know. People thought I had brand new jugs on it. Well, hell no, I don't, but alright, well, I'm sorry guys. I'm in the middle of shooting the other video, doing the fiberglass work on the stinking large turd, the Jetski, you know. So, I am missing one bolt for this. I got it on order. So, we're going to work with what we got right now. It's not like we're putting the motor in or anything, like I said. This is going to be about vacuum testing the crankcase pretty much, but it's going to be a video about putting it together too. So without further ado, let's get this darn thing together. So I cleaned every surface on this. Scotch-Brite. Guy on YouTube says Scotch-Brite's your friend. Everything on this motor gets blue Loctite, guys. Everything. So let me get the torque spec for you guys, and we'll get this on. His exhaust manifold bolts are going to go to 16 foot-pounds. So I'll start getting this all together. I'm not going to bore you guys by having you watch this whole thing on the video. That's kind of stupid. You know, blah, blah, blah. So I'll start getting this together, and I'll get the camera rolling when I'm doing torque spec, and I'll show you how she torques. You got to use my belly, because sometimes being Polish and fat does come in handy. Come on. It's a little drop of blue Loctite, and off she goes. Now, when I did take this motor apart, this was missing a manifold bolt, so I know it had a manifold leak. Guarantee that. That goes with everything else on this project. So, alright, let me show you when we start torquing it. It's a 12 millimeter on these. I'm going to double check. I just read that 16 foot-pounds off a quick lookup online. I'll double check. I got the service manual on my computer. So we'll double check that. I'll add a little thing in the video if it happens to be different. So I won't bore you guys anymore with torquing this down. I am going to find a bolt that'll fit just for now. I believe it's a M8 1.25 on these. I'll find one to stick in there. So we can do what we're going to do here with this. So yep. Let me show you what the next step's going to be. Before I put that cooling rail on, I wanted to flip the motor over and put the base plate on. As you can see, Mr. SRX is not the smartest guy in the book. I should have had this on probably earlier, but without the cooling rail, it lays over nice. So let me get it. I'll tell you what the torque is on those. Alright, you know the drill. Blue Loctite. Everything on this motor is blue Loctite. And 45 foot-pounds. Make sure these got the star lock washers on them. We're going to get this stator in now. So there's a mark right here on your stator. It's going to line up right here on your case. Right where my nail's pointing, right on that line. So we'll feed the wire through. I am going to get new loom for this wire. This motor's not going back in today, so I ordered some on Amazon. So let me feed all this stuff through, guys. It's probably boring to watch, so you already know how it goes. You took it apart, you're putting it back together. I'm going to cut the camera, and I'll show you when we get the stator in place how it's going to go. I was going to get stainless steel Allen heads for this stator, but not gonna. Ones I took out of there in good shape. I'm not gonna blue Loctite them though. That's one thing on this project I am not Loctiting. Take those things out, you'd have a nightmare on your hands. There you go. So she's gonna sit just like this. And you see that line right here? Bring the camera in. Bring the camera in for you guys. See that line right there? You want it lined up with your case, just like that. So go ahead and tighten your screws up. I got to get my screws in rather, and get the 2 screws that go in for this. So let me get that in. You got 3 screws for the stator. Then we'll get the flywheel on. Okay, now we're gonna get our flywheel housing on. I clean these, like I said, ultrasonic cleaner. Clean them up, parts wash, super nice. Everything's really clean. You got to make sure this is gonna have a gasket 1211 on here. So make sure you get a good sealing surface, nice and clean. You know, Scotch-Brite if you have to. Do whatever it takes. Make sure on your block here. I'm gonna get some 1211 on here. And we'll get the bolts in this and we'll get this on. And I'll let you know what the torque spec is too. Also, before you put your cover on, you gotta put your Bendix in. Washer on the front here, washer on the back. Sure you pay close attention to that. I'm not gonna clean this. Reason being is I want that grease in there. I want this Bendix to work nice. So you're gonna slip that baby in there, just like that. Because this cover covers it. You won't be able to get it in there, you'll be fighting with it. So this is just a dry fit. We get the 1211 on. See, the reason the washer's in there is for this right here in the front. Holds that Bendix in place. Well, let me get the 1211 on. Okay, here's my bead of 1211 gasket. Poop. It's did a little thick, but it's alright. So once I said, you got your starter Bendix in here. And we'll go ahead and line her up with the pins. Just like that, she's on. Now let me get my bolts. I ultrasonic cleaned all my hardware, guys. It came out so nice. Let me get the bolts out and I'll tell you the torque specs. You guys know the drill with this motor. Blue Loctite on everything. It's going to be 16 foot-pounds on these bigger bolts for the flywheel housing. And for your smaller bolt over here, it's going to be 78 inch-pounds. So let me get them all snugged up in there and we'll get the flywheel on. Mr. SRX almost made his own mistake. The gold colored bolts go inside the flywheel housing for the inside. The cover ones are silver. They're a little bit longer, a hair longer. So like I said, 16 foot-pounds. The one over here is 78 inch-pounds. Sometimes when I'm working on this stuff, I'll just take a tub of towels, rag, and just wipe this stuff off, you know, get all the grease and crap, you know, and clean it up. I cleaned everything, like I said, all the nuts and bolts in my ultrasonic cleaner. So just want to make it nice. You want to make it go together as good as you can. Especially in here, you want to clean, you know, maybe even just a hair of Scotch-Brite, I don't know, on the magnets. That might not be a good idea. Just clean it up good. Clean up inside that flywheel where you're going to be putting it on. Now, let me rotate this block over. Let me let that flywheel, that tub of towels dry. It's going to be Blue Loctite, 90 foot-pounds. So, pull the plugs out. I've only had them in and out 100 times. Sorry guys, I'm doing fiberglass work out in the driveway and I can't have dust and stuff getting inside this motor. I spent too much time and too much money building this motor. Okay, rotate this crank. Now you're gonna see there's a key. Make sure your key's on the keyway. You're gonna lower that Polaris flywheel puller rope I told you about, that $100 rope. I'm kidding. Just that nylon rope I told you about in my other videos. I'll show you when we get it on this one. And we're gonna lower that down the cylinder and make sure your keyway lines up. Gonna get our flywheel on. And we're gonna torque her down to 90 foot-pounds. Okay, you can see I got my torque wrench. Now that's what sucks about having this motor laying on your bench. You gotta hold it. There you go. Here's your clicks, 90 foot-pounds. Not supposed to go in reverse with a torque wrench, so I gotta back this off. Now get your OEM Polaris puller rope out of there. Make sure the ends of this rope aren't frayed, guys, when you're shoving that down there for the first time. You guys shove that down there like that and it's frayed up. It'll get caught between the rings. So that's on, like I said, 90 foot-pounds, little blue Loctite. Got every torque wrench I own out. Okay, now let's get these cover bolts on. Boom, boom, 16 foot-pounds. You already know the drill. Here's the cover. Got the cover nice and clean. Make sure your washer's on here. We'll do a little dry fit just to make sure. It's going to be the same procedure as before, guys. 1211 gasket maker on here. Make sure your surfaces are super clean, and we'll show you when we get her on. Alright, we're goobered up with the 1211. Let's get her on. Get her lined up with your Bendix. Watch your dowel pins. Just like downtown, guys. She's gonna be a beast, we hope. I think what I used to call it as a kid, a reed ripper. Should be a little reed ripper. So same thing. Sorry to keep preaching to you guys if you're building one of these. Blue Loctite, 16 foot-pounds, crisscross pattern. You guys know the drill. And yep. So get that done. I'll show you how to get the starter on, and we'll wrap up the video. Oh, and the coolant rail. Alright, for your starter installation, take a tiny bit of grease, rub it around this rubber O-ring, like so. Make sure she's in good shape. Just a tiny bit on the teeth, probably wouldn't hurt anything. I don't think it would hurt anything, but maybe it will. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have did that, but I did. Okay, get her in there. Might have to really wiggle with her, because you got to get the teeth to line up. So I'll turn the motor over on the Bendix here. There you go. So you just turn your crankshaft a little bit. Blue Loctite, like I'm preaching to the choir. 108 inch-pounds. There you go. Starter's on. Now let's get the cooling rail on. Okay, now time for the water manifold. Now I want to explain to you something here. These have a thermostat in them right here. And I think this one was stuck. I'm almost positive. I don't know where I put it. I probably had a few beers and threw it in the trash. But I took my thermostat out. Unless you're going to be riding in super cold water, wouldn't worry about it. The later years of Polaris's didn't come with it. So I removed the little plastic piece that's in here, the spring and the thermostat. So this is just wide open flow. You're supposed to warm a 2-stroke up anyway before you rip on it. So it's just 2 Allen heads, 4 millimeters here, boom, boom, pull it apart. A bunch of rocks, shit, all kinds of crap in there. So, without further ado, you got 6 bolts. You're gonna have your seals up top. You can put grease on them to hold them in place if you're one of those people that does have problems with that, or if you just want to be extra safe. For me, I'm gonna set her down. I'm pretty decent at this stuff, not the best. It's just like everything else, 78 inch-pounds, blue Loctite. There's your 6 bolts. We'll get that bolted on. The reason I'm doing this is, like I said, I want to vacuum test the crankcase, make sure we're not leaking at any seals or anything I put on. So there's not really much about it in the manual, but it's just something I'm going to do. So let me get that torqued down, guys. For the next video, I'm going to show you guys how I do what I was just talking about. Checking the crankcase for leaks. So I want to say thanks for watching. Stay tuned. We're getting there, guys. We're getting super close to this project. I mean, I'm getting pretty excited myself. I don't really get too excited about this older stuff, but hey, this thing's gonna be kind of sweet. I got some modifications with the exhaust too I'm gonna do. I'll show you guys. It'll sound good. It'll make a little power, you know, nothing crazy. It's old, but okay. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button. Stay tuned. Catch you on the next one.